This is a weird game. The most recent game that I brought upon myself to bring to 100% completion has been none other than Stranding, and I must say it was a unique experience to say the least. But before I get into that, I'd like to address something. It occurs to me that some of you thought that in previous videos I was talking mostly about generally playing the game itself and not things that the video title would suggest, like their achievements. Which is understandable because I had no indication of such stated beforehand, or shown on screen. So now, when speaking of specific achievements, I will show them in the top right corner, like so. And with that established, let's get into it. I'm not really sure where to begin with this one. This game has a certain kind of beauty that I believe can only be truly appreciated if you're picking apart every aspect of what it is. A handful of people say that it's nothing but a walking simulator, and while that is a decently large portion of its gameplay, I wouldn't say that that becomes a problem until you attempt to be a completionist with it. When just casually playing through the game, the intention is for vast stretches of land to feel empty to show you just how devastating the event called the Death Stranding was, and how difficult it is for humanity to stay together in just the one country that is the United Cities of America. But even so, that emptiness does not overstay its welcome, for it's mitigated by run-ins with people that have lost their minds in one of the weirdest ways possible, and otherworldly entities that's natural instincts are to reduce what's left of the living to nothing. Sam Porter Bridges, the man carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, sometimes in an almost literal sense. As stated about half a minute ago, the world has changed drastically. 90% of what was known as the US has been reduced to none but a wasteland laden with rocks. Yet even so, the broken and scattered remains of humanity are putting forth the effort to band together to persist past this hardship, and tasked Sam with taking the main stage on that front, as the post-apocalyptic version of a United States Postal Service employee. So those that are part of the UCA, and the handful of doomsayers that were able to make it far enough away from civilization, have taken the liberty of giving you 4 different types of jobs, all of which are some form of picking things up in one place to put them down in another. You have quantity, condition, time-focused, and miscellaneous deliveries. The first 3 of these delivery types should be self-explanatory, so I'm only going to explain the miscellaneous category. Miscellaneous deliveries usually entail going to places like mule/terrorist camps, or BT-infested areas to recover cargo and return it to the very same people who are incompetent enough to lose these things more than once. The more deliveries you complete, the better everyone will think of both Sam and the UCA, up until you finally made them happy enough that they'll give you a nice shiny star as a reward for trekking entire mountain ranges. Now, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but come on, man, I just ran through hell and back to bring you this stuff, and the one guy that seems to give me something worthwhile might be a domestic terrorist because he has the ability to craft homemade grenades. But whatever, it's cool. What's done is done, and I have bigger fish to fry. Like crafting highways. As you might have figured out by now, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling. And what better way to expedite that process than by using one of humanity's most dangerous methods of transportation? There's no achievement for completing all of the highways, but trust me, you're going to want to make them anyway. A fair amount of preppers are within close proximity to the highways, and all distribution centers will connect to them directly. But the main reason that they're so useful is that they have their own power grid, so any vehicle that you're using won't run out of battery while you're on them, meaning they'll almost ensure that you can actually make it from point A to point B without being shot at, dragged through tar, or launched into the stratosphere due to the game's weird physics. This will come especially in handy for premium deliveries. So, after you've spent all that time running back and forth convincing everyone that having friends is actually not that bad of an idea, upon getting the final star, you'll come to wonder why exactly you didn't get these 2 particular achievements. That's when you find out that every delivery in the game actually has 2 different forms, those being standard and premium, and you've been doing only the standard this entire time. Meaning you now have to go back and redo at least 80 different deliveries, 20 in each category, all of which could have been contributing toward each location's connection levels in order to save yourself a decent amount of time and headache. Premium deliveries are basically the same as standard, just with a couple of special conditions. the hardest type being time-focused, because you'll find that you're expected to cross the entire country in 10 seconds with half a grocery store's stock on your back. The highways will make a good portion of these a non-issue, however they fall off a bit when traversing mountains. Here's where the structures come in. One of the items that can be crafted is the Portable Chiral Constructor, or PCC for short. This device lets you erect a number of structures that will generally make your life easier. All structures can be upgraded to a maximum of level 3, and each upgrade will provide added structure-specific benefits, as well as increased durability. But honestly, most of the time you're only going to need the base structure itself. One of the most useful things you'll get out of the PCC is the zipline. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that it's the only way to get the Legend of Legends rating for any time-focused premium delivery involving mountains. The final bit of gameplay that I feel is important enough to discuss is equipment. As amazing a man as Sam Porter Bridges is, at the end of the day, he's still just a guy. Luckily, there's an entire repertoire of gadgets at your disposal to offset this conundrum. Got a mountainside that needs climbing? Hit up the all-terrain skeleton. A truck's worth of terrorists barreling toward you? Pop them with a sleep grenade. BTs blocking the way between you and your destination? Just hop on a reverse trike and speed on through. You'll find that most problems that you'll run into are able to be resolved with intuitive use of different devices. So, was 100%ing Death Stranding worth it? I'd say yes if you enjoy unearthing the details of a genuinely interesting setting of a mildly unorthodox post-apocalyptic scenario, but no if you don't enjoy copious amounts of walking. Getting all of the achievements in the game took me a total of 135 hours, and as much as I love this game, I just have to say it, the post-game is lackluster. Pretty much all of the special BTs, and more than half of the achievements will be encountered by just playing through the main story, meaning the only things left to be done are unlocking the equipment that you didn't come across normally, collecting memory chips, and the handful of arbitrary tasks that are needed for some achievements. This isn't bad per se, but it becomes a bit mind-numbing when there's little to nothing new showing up to force conflict, unfortunately causing the game to become the very thing that those who have only played for about 10 minutes wrongfully accuse it of being. That being said, everything else in the game is top-notch. Between the extremely well-acted roles by the celebrities involved in the game's creation, and the perfectly timed atmospheric music by the various artists that Kojima knew would fit the melancholy vibe that the whole of the game gives off, I can't think of a better example of video games as an art form than Death Stranding. Everything in the game is symbolic, and that boils down to even the basic gameplay. One of the biggest points that the narrative tries to make is that people can still be connected even if you can't directly see each other. This is represented in its gameplay by the structures, equipment, and paths left behind by others for you to use. You can even shout to see if there might be other players within close proximity, but you'll never actually see them, because the idea is that others are there helping, regardless of their ability to actively participate. I absolutely love this as a concept, however it leaves me with one major worry. There's going to come a time where either the player base whittles down to nothing, or the servers shut down. And when that happens, it'll make the game nearly unplayable. Since the entire game is built around the sparing interactions of everybody with an internet connection, once there's no way for this to happen, doing something as simple as crossing a river can become a grueling task, because all possible methods of passing that obstacle now fall solely upon you. Well, there you have it. That's just about everything that I have to say about Death Stranding. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments if there are any games that you might want to see a video on in the future.